Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for joining the fourth in the Fusion 360 summer webinar series. This one is on enhancing your business benefits. So that is, in regards to the benefits that are on offer to your employees as a business. So we'll just give it a couple of minutes to let some other people join, and then we'll kick off. Okay, great. So as some of you are probably aware, those of you who've joined other webinars that we've run throughout this summer, Fusion Consulting Group was set up with the sole purpose of providing all of your professional services people under the same roof. So what does that mean in reality? It means that your tax team is talking to your accountancy, and your accountants are talking to your financial advisors, and your financial advisors are talking to your lawyers to create this 360 package of professional services people who are all behind the scenes working for the best interests of your business. So that's how Fusion can help in its full capacity. Now, Neil and I work for Fusion Financial, and he'll just give a little introduction in terms of who we are and our experience.
Thank you, Josh. So firstly, my name's Neil. I'm head of financial. My background in financial planning and services probably goes back about 15 years, and that also incorporates heading up financial planning companies at two previous firms before I was brought into Fusion to assist them in growing their Fusion financial department and working closely with Josh.
Yeah, so I'm Josh. I've been at Fusion for just coming up to 3 years now. Work here as a financial advisor. I've been in the industry for coming up to 10 years. I started my career in Barcelona, working typically with British expats who moved abroad and were looking to make the most of the wealth and the assets that they've built up in England in the most tax efficient way. But today, as we've said before, we're looking at how employee benefits can enhance a company's offering to their staff.
I think it's important to just consider the market you're in and your competitors and the sort of employees you're trying to bring in to your company. So are you trying to retain or bring in new talent? Is it all about just trying to improve the well-being of your employees or increase productivity? One of those, increasing productivity is just making sure everyone's fit and healthy. Part of these benefits is also just ensuring that there's a good culture in your company, and certain benefits can really help towards that. A number of companies we've worked with also have some legal or ethical considerations. So legal being we all need to provide a pension anyway to our staff. An ethical view could be numerous things, but that's something we take into account when we review the type of benefits and what's suitable and what providers best suited to our client. Another really important area is how can we help ensure our employees have financial security while not putting all the burden on the company. So that's obviously quite a key area for us as employers to really consider. And then how can we customize all of these together to ensure that the package we're offering our staff really clicks and is something that when we're interviewing for a new staff member or trying to retain our staff actually is a consideration for them on why they would join us or why they wouldn't leave us. And it really all just helps out in making sure that the employees feel happy in where they are and want to stay within the firm, retaining the top class for your company.
So one of the basic benefits that, since 2012, companies have had to offer to their employees is an auto-enrollment pension scheme. So what does that mean in reality? Well, it means that at the very base level, you need to be providing your staff with a pension scheme. Now, you can start that with the very minimum contribution as possible, just to tick the guidelines and the regulations of having a pension scheme for your employees. And who can join this pension scheme as an employee? Well, any of your workers who are aged between 22 and state pension age, earning at least £10,000 a year, must be given the opportunity to join. Anyone outside of those parameters can be given the opportunity to join, but it is not a legal requirement in the way that it is for the people that meet those parameters. But in regards to the auto-enrollment pension schemes, I think where companies start out in a small space and grow over time is that they're not always considering whether the auto-enrollment pension scheme that they set up at day one is still the best solution for them now that they are a more established company. So it's about understanding what different offerings there are on the market from pensions, and making sure that you meet the requirements of the employees, not just from the bare minimum level, but using pensions as a benefit to entice your staff to stay, to use it as an enhancement of their overall remuneration package, and to help them know that their future is taken care of because the company that they work for is giving them this key benefit, which is going to provide them with a retirement at some point in the future.
Thank you, Josh. So we know that everyone has to provide a pension. So one thing a company would consider, and it does come down to affordability, but how can you turn that pension into something that actually helps retain your staff? It may be in regards to increasing the company contribution for staff, or it also could be giving your staff more choice in the way they invest. A perfect example of that would be ethical and sustainable. So the main goal of the pension is really to help your staff work towards their retirement. So if your company can afford to and sees it as worthwhile in retaining top talent, can offer all staff or a certain level and above better contributions into a pension. That's definitely one thing. Also just choice within the pension. There are schemes out there that many of you have heard of that really just are where probably most companies, when they first find out about this, will go to. They set it up, fairly bulk standard, lacks choice and consideration, which means it's one box to fit everyone in and doesn't really work long term, certainly as a company grows and trying to bring in the best talent. Feedback from employees at firms that Josh and me go and visit are, we want to invest in X and Y, we want more choice, we want to spread our money more, or we have ethical and sustainable views and want to really get more involved in that. And these are the sort of things you can build in to your expectation on what the pension scheme can offer your staff. And it can help boost morale and engagement depending on the strategy you take and how much the scheme is brought up within your company. An example of that would be that Josh, I think it was last week, went to see one of our clients and spent the day there. Josh sat down, did a presentation, went through the scheme, spent, I think it was about half an hour, 45 minutes on that, and then did a health check with staff afterwards in private 30-minute meetings, engaging staff, hopefully boosting morale and just allowing staff to get a better understanding. It's just one thing, doesn't need to be done that way, but there are ways where pension can be used to help engage your staff and also assist them with financial security, because you're educating your staff, certainly the young ones, who really don't see the benefit initially on why they should pay into a pension. And it's about educating them that if they're lazy like me, I'd sooner walk up a hill than a mountain. And if they can't visualize that at an early stage, by the time they actually decide that they will opt back into a pension, it's become a mountain. So it's all about engaging, educating. It's one part of it and can be really useful. And that's all about supporting your workforce and diversity in many different ways, and just getting them to be fully educated, empowered on the pension, on their potential retirement, if it's 30 years away, 20 years away, or 10. Another thing, obviously, is you've got a corporate responsibility and compliance to make sure that it all meets the regulatory rules. And if you want to go beyond that, many companies do. They don't want to just do the bare minimum. They want to offer something that is going to differentiate their firm from the similar firm down the road that does exactly what they do and will be looking at similar employees for their company.
Thanks, Neil. And so, pensions aren't the only additional benefit that can be offered to your staff. And what we've seen over probably the last 3 to 5 years is that staff and employees and employers are really looking to take on additional options for their employees with regards to healthcare. Now, everybody knows that the situation with regards to the NHS in the UK is a difficult situation, and nobody wants to be relying on that if there is a serious illness, if there is something that one of their staff or one of their family members needs to be seen quickly. They don't want to be relying on the NHS to provide treatment or to provide them with good support throughout that process. So what we've seen is that with regards to private medical insurance and health insurance, this has become one of the biggest policies and most common policies that employers are taking up. And there's 2 reasons for that. The first one is because of the state of the NHS. And the second one is a case of keeping up with the Joneses. If the majority of employers are offering that as a benefit, then other employers in the same industry, in the same space, need to make sure that they're offering that as a potential benefit to their staff. Otherwise, they run the risk that their staff are going to leave and go somewhere else because there's a higher benefits package. It's not just about remuneration anymore. It's about what the employee is getting from the company and do they feel valued. And by adding a private healthcare policy, that employee knows that, this employer is taking their health and allowing them to, regardless of whatever happens with their illnesses or their injuries, they're giving them the best support possible to get fixed, to get healed, and to get back up and running so that they can get back to work without too much of a loss of income. Now, that is one end of the scale with regards to additional healthcare benefits. The other end of the scale is simple things that you can be doing, like eye care vouchers, giving employees vouchers to different opticians so that they can get their eyes tested once a year, twice a year, and make sure that, if they need glasses, they're aware that they need glasses. Otherwise, there's a lot of people who are put off going to the opticians just because they don't want to pay for the cost of the initial appointment. But by giving them the eye care vouchers, you're saying, go and get checked out. Let's see what happens. And if you do need glasses, then at least you know that that's the case. Other things like free flu vaccinations that you can do, which are just little things that will make the employee think, okay, I haven't had that before in a company. They're taking care of me. They're making me feel valued. They're making me feel loved. Why would I leave if they're taking that much care of me? And then the final, with regards to healthcare, the final little extra that you can add is an employee assistance program or an employee assistance plan, which is essentially a hotline for your staff to give them a call and speak to somebody openly about anything that's going on in their life. Now, you may have seen over the years, whilst you've had a company, that some employees become disinterested, disengaged throughout their work life. And there could be a very simple reason for that they're just not talking to you about because of the conflict of interest in doing so. An employee assistance program allows the employee to speak to a qualified person who can speak with the employee and discuss anything that's going on in their life which may be making them feel down. And it's very simple, but it's one of the things that really allows employees to speak to somebody, get back to work, and be happy and engaged in the environment that they're in.
Thanks, Josh. Okay, so other financial support is offering company-wide a death in service package, where it's effectively a life assurance policy for each employee across the company. It could be 4 times salary, it could be more. Another way, if you were a smaller firm and you just didn't have the numbers to offer something group-wide, you could do something called a relevant life policy for your key employees. This is a life assurance policy taken out by the employer where the beneficiary would be your employees' loved ones. Really sensible way of just doing something which is, to be fair, more often than not the biggest cost in the world compared to some other benefits that can be offered, but will offer family financial security. Now, another thing that always comes up when we speak to employers, is occupational sick pay and the concerns of having staff on long-term sickness. Now, certain large companies have the collateral to be able to build into their contracts 6 months, 1 year, full pay. But it's a difficult thing to incorporate when you're a smaller business and just can't afford to do such things and lose a staff member for that period of time and have to employ someone. Or they may in theory think, well, we're willing to do that, but we can't stamp this sort of thing on paper. One thing that can be done and is very common across many different industries is putting together a group income protection policy, allowing all staff to receive a certain income during a time when they're incapacitated, and allows effectively the company to budget that within their plans. So the risk is taken off them over a certain period and put on the insurance, allowing the company to fully budget everything in and offer all staff financial security and that lack of stress of being ill or having an accident and not being able to work and having financial stress as well. So these sort of things are being offered widely and they are taken into account. If an employee is working at company Y and they get the health insurance and they get their death in service, and on top of that, they have a policy that will ensure they're always getting paid to pay their mortgage. If they are looking out there for a new opportunity, these things will be considered, because even if they're getting offered an extra X on their salary, it might not be enough. They may consider, well, that's all good and well, but I've suddenly lost all that security I had at the company I was at previously. So do I want to make that leap? And it's just considering how can we just try and make our staff's lives more secure if we can.
Yeah, thanks, Neil. Does anybody have any questions? There's one in the chat, but if you've got any questions, please type away, and we'll do our best to answer. There's one on there. It says, I already have an auto-enrollment pension scheme set up. What is the process to offering a more flexible scheme? So it's a good question, because everybody has an auto-enrollment scheme set up from day one. But as you grow, like I said previously, you may look to change that scheme. What is the process to doing that? Well, if you work with an advisor like Neil or myself, we would evaluate the existing scheme that you've got, see whether it's fit for purpose. And if it isn't fit for purpose, we'd go across the market to find a more suitable solution for your specific needs. Now, there's not one size fits all with regards to pensions, because each company is different. Each company has different things that they want to offer their employees through a pension. One could be salary sacrifice. The other could be a matching of payment with regards to the percentages. And so we'll look for the best solution specific to you, and then we'll talk you through the process of onboarding you to the new pension scheme with the new provider. And that's how it would work with regards to changing scheme. There's a few other legal requirements throughout that, but that is far more technical to get into, and we'll do that if that's something that you want to explore further.
Any other questions? Please put them up there. It's a great opportunity.
One from Natalie. So it says, could you explain how small business could offer operational sick pay or occupational sick pay, maybe? Neil?
Yeah, so if a company decides that they want to offer, let's say, as a company, they'll pay 3 months sick pay at 100% or 80% of their salary. After that, they could then incorporate a policy that would kick in after 3 months or 2 months or 6 months, depending on what, where the levels are that the company wants to commit to. So that would take the emphasis off the company paying the salary onto a group-wide, what we call income protection policy, which works as paying effectively tax-free income to the employee. So it would be a percentage of their salary. And because it's tax-free income, it doesn't need to match the full amount. And there's quite a few options actually available within this market. So at the premium level, you can basically protect all your staff until the day they retire, which in best case scenario is what you want to do. But if that just doesn't work for a company in terms of budgetary restraints, then having something such as a policy that would pay their employees for 5 years, 3 years, or 2 years is still a lot better than having nothing at all. So would it be my first choice? No. Having something that protects your staff all the way to their retirement is obviously going to be first choice. But in reality, knowing that all staff are going to get paid for 2, 3, 5 years is still doing something massively different to not have anything in place at all. So there are options. It comes down to budget and really, how many staff does a company have? What sorts of salaries are being paid? All of these things are reviewed, taken into account, and then we effectively go to the whole of the market. But in terms of financial security while you're living, that's one of the best policies you can consider for your staff.
Great. Thanks, Neil. I don't think there's any more questions. If there are, last chance to get them up. Otherwise, thank you, everybody, for joining the 4th instalment of the Fusion 360 Summer Series. On the 8th of August, there is another one. Everybody here will have been invited to that. It will be our fantastic accountancy team who will talk you through the 5 things that your current accountant should be doing but isn't currently doing for you. So that will be very informative and help you just bridge the gap of what you should be receiving from your current accountant to what you are actually receiving. So that will be on the 8th of August. Feel free to join up when you get the invite.
So obviously we've gone through quite a lot today and we've really touched the surface. So our details are here. By all means, get in contact with Josh or myself. We'll be happy to offer an initial free consultation or just have a chat over a coffee. Utilize us. We're here to help. Some of you are already going to be clients of Fusion. Some of you may have met us over the years. Details are there. Feel free to contact us and have a lovely week.
Bye.